All right, take 3, action. Hey guys, I just finished watching Daredevil Born Again, episode 1. Started watching episode 2, but I just turned it off halfway through. See, I've had this idea to start a YouTube channel since Phase 4 started. I've never been motivated to do it, really. But after what I just watched, I think I'm finally going to start. So this is how it's going to work. Alright, I'm going to give a little bit of background information, talk about what did and didn't work with the story, and then I'm going to talk about how to fix it. So I don't want to rewrite the whole thing based off of my own personal preferences. So there's going to be some restrictions, some constraints, but we'll get into that later. If you like this idea, please let me know, and I'll continue this. See, I've had this idea for other film projects, MCU-related, Star Wars, DC, TV, video games, movies. So if you guys like this, let me know, and I'll probably make more. Yeah. So I probably don't need to give too much of a recap, because if you're watching this video, you've probably seen the Netflix show, but I will anyway. Quick little recap. So Netflix had a Daredevil show that started in 2015. It was loosely connected with the MCU, and they had planned to make 5 seasons of it. It got canceled right after season 3 came out. In 2022, Kevin Feige decided to greenlight a Daredevil reboot. Now, before this, Charlie Cox, who played Daredevil, and Vincent D'Onofrio, who played Kingpin, appeared in various MCU projects. But 2022, Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, officially greenlights a reboot show. So not a continuation of the Netflix show, but a remake with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio still playing Daredevil and Kingpin. It was originally supposed to be 18 episodes long. It was going to come out in 2024. They filmed 5 or 6 episodes. I'm not sure if it was 5 or 6. But then the script got leaked. And so in it, Foggy apparently was dead. Karen had left after Foggy's funeral. Of course, this all happened off screen. And Matt was depressed, didn't want to be Daredevil anymore, wasn't going to put on the suit until episode 3. People did not like this script. They hated it. So Feige came out, sort of did some damage control, said, look, we've listened to you, we've heard what the fans want, we're scrapping everything, we're getting the OG cast back, it's going to be a continuation of the original show, it's going to be a season 4, basically, rather than a reboot. But because of this, because of all the money we've spent, we're going to cut it down from 18 episodes to only 8 episodes as sort of a trade-off. So, that was good news. People were happy. They're going to bring back the OG cast. It's not going to be like what the leaks were. The cast, they did a tour. They did a press tour. So I just watched the first episode, and within the first 5 minutes, Foggy gets killed and Karen leaves. Kind of sounds exactly like what they said it wasn't. I could go on. I think I will. Something else that was pretty strong in the original show, but that was missing in this remake, softcore reboot, let's call it, were the religious themes. Matt, every other episode, would go to his local priest. The story was sort of driven by Matt's religious views. And I know that the priest, Father Lantham, died during season 3, but the finale made it pretty clear that he was going to go start seeing Sister Maggie as sort of a replacement Father Lantham character. By the way, she was not among the cast members who were listed to return. So the thing is with Disney, they definitely probably stepped away from that because they wanted to appeal to everyone and not just make a project for one particular group. And I understand that for like the movies, but for something like a TV show like this, I don't understand why they wouldn't just target, this group is targeted with this show, this group is targeted with this show, this group is targeted with this show, because not everyone who watches the movies are going to watch the shows. And I feel like that's a better marketing plan, or that's a better business plan. So that's what I would do if I was in charge. So lastly here, I have Kingpin's story. So Kingpin in the first episode, it seemed like they were just rehashing his story of season 3. Gets out of jail, pretends to be a good guy, plot twist he's actually a bad guy, and then he goes back to jail. Which I don't understand. Again, if this is supposed to be a continuation of the original show, it is poor writing to just rehash the previous season. So I would not do that in my remake. My rewrite, sorry. Another thing that I've seen people complain about since his appearance on Echo and Hawkeye is that apparently they've made him more Saturday morning cartoon villain. Oh no, you've defeated me, let me run back into the shadows and appear later, as opposed to being like an actual threat. And so a good piece of writing advice that I would give is if you're writing a protagonist-antagonist story, make the antagonist stronger than the hero. And then the hero actually has a challenge to sort of rise up to stop, as opposed to making the hero more powerful than the antagonist, and then there's no question on what's going to happen or what it's going to cost. Nothing. It's just, oh, okay. I think a pretty good example of this actually is the original show, with the fact that Kingpin could literally, no one could touch him. He could get out of jail anytime he wants. He could bribe anyone he wanted. The only way to stop him was to kill him, which Matt's against because of his religious upbringing. So the personal cost would have had to have been Matt sacrificing his religious beliefs, or finding another way to beat him, which he does. He makes a deal with him in season 3. I'm going to go after your wife, or you're going to go to jail. And so Kingpin agrees to that deal. So you need to sort of explain why he's out of jail now that deal is in place, which we'll get to when I get to the rewrites. So the constraints that I have put on this rewrite are Fisk becoming mayor, because that seems like a major plot point in this, Foggy dying, and less Daredevil, more of Matt Murdock, because I'm sure that the reason behind that was, there was an actual reason behind that when Feige made that decision with the show. So going off of this by character, we have Matt and Foggy. Matt's still going to interact with Sister Maggie in the same way he would Father Lantham, the same sort of frequency, frequent visits. And his excuse for why he's spending less time as Daredevil is because, like in the comics, Foggy gets cancer. And so it's not a cancer that's going to kill him immediately in the first 5 minutes. He's going to die at the end, at the season finale in this version. And so that's the reason why Matt is no longer Daredevil. He wants to spend as much time as he possibly can with his friend. And then the religious element can also come in there too, with Matt sort of empathizing. He had a lot of trouble growing up as a blind kid, sort of, why would God do this to me? And then he comes to terms with it. And so Foggy can sort of have those same questions of, why am I dying? Why do I have 8 episodes of a TV show left to live? Why would God do this? And so Matt can sort of help him on that sort of journey. And that's how we can get the religious stuff. And so because actions have consequences, Matt spending less time as Daredevil and not being Daredevil anymore is going to have a direct consequence with the city and a direct consequence with the other characters. And that direct consequence is Bullseye. So Bullseye, in the actual Daredevil Born Again, he breaks out of jail and kills Foggy. He has no reason to, because remember, in Season 3, Bullseye's big gripe is with Kingpin, who wants Foggy dead. So if you're going up against somebody, you're not going to kill his enemies. You're going to target people he cares about. And so that's the way that Fisk gets out of jail, is, the only way he's getting out of jail is if something happens to his wife. So Bullseye, like in Season 3, he's going to go after Kingpin's wife, and he's going to kill her. And he's going to get away with it. Because Matt wasn't there to stop him. So that explains why Kingpin gets out of jail. And once he's out of jail, there's one of two things he can do. One of them, I think, is probably too much for a return for the show. And the other one, I think, is a little bit of character stretching, but for reasons that I think will be obvious once I explain it, that's kind of what has to happen, more or less. So the first thing that Kingpin can do is he can reveal Matt's secret identity, because that's what Kingpin does in the comics. And so then Matt's sort of overwhelmed on all sides. He has Foggy to worry about, he has the rising crime to worry about, and he has public perception with everyone knowing his secret identity now. And while I definitely think he's been around long enough to where it makes sense to reveal his identity at some point in the future, I don't think it should be this season. I think it should be the season finale. Kingpin reveals his identity, and then that can lead into Season 5. So I think the second best option is Kingpin he finds out about Foggy's cancer, and he goes, hey, listen, someone I cared about just died, and so I know what that feels like, and I respect you, Daredevil, because you're my arch nemesis, so I'll give you until Foggy dies, until I come after you, or until you put the suit on again. And then that's another reason why he doesn't wear the suit as much. And so doing it that way, I don't know if Fisk would really be empathetic like that, but it's a stretch, is what I'm going to say, but I think it would be a good story. I just don't know if the Kingpin that we've seen over the course of the show would do that. But I think it's better than the alternative, especially considering how literally we're talking about not rehashing Season 3, Matt being on the run and not focusing on his personal life was the premise of Season 3, and I don't want to rehash his story with Kingpin making his life hell at this point, because we're not about rehashing here. So yeah, option number 2, kind of character stretching, but I think it'll work. So lastly, we have what Karen is doing. And so Karen, she's sort of there. She's supporting Matt and Foggy during the whole cancer situation. But she's also sort of organizing the Defenders to take care of New York while Matt's sort of retired. And so that can be a way to get all the Netflix characters back, not just Punisher, like what they're doing in the actual show. You get everyone back. You might even get other Defenders associated characters like Moon Knight, Shang-Chi. I don't think Benedict Cumberbatch would do a TV show, but Doctor Strange. And then another thing she can do is sort of like a Rocky Creed situation. She sort of mentors Phil Urich, the nephew of Ben Urich, who mentored her back in season 1. And then Phil can become is an important character later on in Spider-Man stuff, which I can get to in a later video if you guys want to see that. And then lastly, I had sort of an end credit. I don't know the beat for beat what's going to happen in this. This is just my general overview. But I have it here that Bullseye, he escapes from Fisk's wrath. He doesn't die, and he goes into witness protection with Valentina, who is Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character. And then that sort of sets up, in my version, it's not the Thunderbolts, it's the Dark Avengers. And so that sort of sets up Dark Avengers later on, because he was a founding member of the team in the comics. But yeah, that's my pitch for Daredevil Season 4. If you guys liked it, let me know. If you guys hated it or had alternate suggestions, let me know. If you guys want to see more of this, let me know, and I'll probably do it. Alright, bye.